Okay, for anybody who hasn't been paying attention, I want to explain the Chinese social credit system. Since 2014 in China, the social credit system it has been implemented and is evolving into a single nationwide point system for all Chinese citizens. And it is akin to a financial credit score. It follows you everywhere. There is no place to hide from the cameras. It is evolved now into you have to have a certain app on your phone, and they monitor you every day. You take this app, you open it up, and you have to kind of take a test about what the great leader is doing today. And it gives you all the news of what the great leader is doing and what the communists are doing that is so good for you. Then you have to take a test. If you don't open that app every day, your social credit goes down. If you're not taking that test, your social credit goes down. They track you and feed you everything that they want to feed you, and you must consume it. If you jaywalk across the street, your social credit goes down. If you speak ill about the country, your social credit goes down. If you are talking to someone who has a low social credit score, your social credit goes down. It is horrible what is happening in China. It is becoming a true police state, Orwellian 1984. And it aims to punish for any kind of transgression that can include membership in or support for the Falun Gong or Tibetan Buddhism. If you haven't paid your debt, if you have excessive video gaming, criticizing the government, late payments, failing to sweep the sidewalk in front of your store or house, smoking or playing loud music on trains, jaywalking, anything that is unacceptable by the Chinese government. It also awards points for charitable donations, even taking one's own parents to the doctor. And the punishments are harsh. There are bans on leaving the country, bans on using public transportation. So in other words, all of a sudden you get to the bus and your phone says, offender, not enough social credit, you have to walk. You're not taking a bus. You can't check into certain hotels. You will immediately not be hired for any high visibility job. If you have spoken out against the government, you have posted something that shouldn't have been posted, your children will be pulled out of the private school and may not even make it into a public school. It can result in slower internet connections and also social stigmatization because you are now registered on a public social blacklist. Your face actually goes up on billboards, electronic billboards, in your neighborhood. And anyone who interacts with you, their social credit goes down. They brag that they can keep people locked in their house just because they won't be able to go anywhere. It is authoritarianism gamified. Now, I've told you for a while, if Google and Silicon Valley is helping them do these things, what makes you think that they won't do the same here? Well, they are. There are now 40 or so pilot projects operated by local governments, at least 6 run by tech giants. Now, Beijing is doing this. China is doing this. They have 2 nationwide lists, one called the black list. The other one is the red list. That's kind of like a white list here. The Chinese government shares its list with all technology platforms. They give you every month a social credit, and that social credit determines the rest of your life. Now, some Chinese people are unaware that this even exists at this point because they haven't gotten it all to the entire country, but their goal is China 2020 to have the entire country on this. Surveys done by the government show that 80% of the Chinese citizens that are surveyed strongly approve of the social credit system. Of course they do. You're tracking them. Now, if you are disturbed by any of this, let me tell you what's going on now. In America, the New York State Department of Financial Services announced earlier this year that life insurance companies can base premiums on what they find in your social media posts. If you have an Instagram picture showing you teasing a grizzly bear at Yellowstone with a martini in a hand and a bucket of cheese fries in the other, you're going to pay a higher rate. However, if you are doing yoga, you're going to pay a lower rate. Anything that shows you're healthy and wise, you're going to get a lower rate. Anything that shows you that you are doing anything at all dangerous, you're going to get a higher rate. Now, that seems kind of reasonable. It's like, well, I have insurance on me. I can't go to a war zone. I can't fly a plane. I can't go cliff, climbing. All the stuff I'm never going to do. I'm fine with it. They were like, you can't do these things anymore. And I'm like, does that include jumping out of a perfectly good airplane with a parachute? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, good. Check that one off my list. So you don't have a problem with it per se, unless you do those things. If you are somebody that is into adventure sports, you better tell the truth or you're going to pay a very high penalty. Now, there's also something called a patron scan. So the insurance companies are kind of like, well, I think that's probably okay. If you say you don't smoke and then you're seen smoking on Facebook, that's probably okay. But now we have patron scan. This company sells 3 products: kiosk, desktop, and handheld systems. And what it is designed to help bar and restaurant owners manage customers. PatronScan is a subsidiary of the Canadian software company, a biometric company. It's now on sale in the United States, Canada, Australia, and the United Kingdom, and it helps spot fake IDs, but it also tracks troublemakers. So when you arrive at, let's say, a patron scan using bar, what they do is they ask you for ID, they scan it. The company maintains a list of objectionable customers designed to protect venues from people who have previously had a problem in any bar, fighting sexual assault, drugs, thefts, or any other bad behavior. But the bad behavior, that list is up to each restaurant. So if you go into some restaurant with a MAGA hat, can you be put on this scan? Now, if you are banned in one bar, you will be banned in all bars that use this system. And that's in Australia, the United States, the United Kingdom. No matter where you go, you are known as someone who can't go into the bar. Now, the kind of behavior, all up to the individual bar. The owners of each bar can ignore the bans if they want. The data of non-offending customers is deleted in 90 days. So even if you're not doing something wrong, they're still holding all your information for 90 days. They keep a private list that are not shared with other bars if they want. But if you are a bad customer, it can be kept for 5 years. They do have an appeals process, but it's up to the company whether they listen to it or not. Uber and Airbnb, we all know that when you get into an Uber, if the driver has written something bad about you, you're probably not going to get into another Uber. If you have somebody who didn't like you, can say whatever, you're going to not be able to use Uber. Airbnb is now the same, and that is a private list. So if you are in an Airbnb, and think about how big Airbnb is now, if you're in an Airbnb and the owner didn't like something or said you did something, even if you didn't do it, they can alert Airbnb. It's kept confidential. You have no right to see what your accuser is telling you, and you are banned from all Airbnb. WhatsApp, also developing for communications a new social credit score. For example, you can be banned on WhatsApp if too many other users block you. You can also get banned for sending spam, threatening messages, trying to hack or reverse engineer the WhatsApp app, or using the service with an unauthorized app. Now, this is small potatoes in the United States, but not for the rest of the world, because in many parts of the world, this is the main form of communication. Not being allowed to use WhatsApp in some countries is like not being able to use a telephone in America. Now, here's the problem. Nobody likes antisocial, violent, rude, unhealthy, reckless people. We got it. So what's wrong with this technology? As I have said before, what is now being built completely changes our system. We have always had protections of the First and Second Amendment. We've had protections of privacy, supposedly, under the Constitution. We don't anymore. First Amendment, freedom of speech? Nope. How about freedom of assembly? Nope. Freedom of assembly with people that you choose? Nope. It's not protected. Freedom of religion? No. They're banning Christian ads now just because they're Christian. That doesn't sound like a good thing. And that's protected by the Constitution. Not really. Second Amendment? Nope. Anybody can say, no guns here. And they don't have to do anything about it. They can pressure banks now to say, don't do business with the gun manufacturers or the gun businesses or people who have a gun. Don't do business with them. We're going to cancel their financial services. Totally fine, because it's a private company. Don't quarter soldiers in the house. Well, the NSA is already doing it, but so is Google, so is Amazon. They're listening to your conversation. There is no such thing as privacy anymore. And no law can stop these things because they're private companies. They can do whatever they want. In China, they're doing it by force because the government. China is going this way just as Orwell predicted in 1984. But just as Brave New World predicted, Huxley said it would come with a big happy face on it. It would come through service and it would be great and you'd want this service. Both of those. I remember a time within the last 10 years, people were saying, oh, looks like Huxley was right, Orwell was wrong. No. They were both right. One, 1984, fits the East. Huxley applies to us in the West.